Angry Bears Fan Podcast, episode 104. We didn't take too long of a break because there were several moves, some that we like, some we are skeptical of. Like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Bears sign Drew Dalman from the Falcons, Grady Jarrett. Um, Obviously, they traded for Thuney and Jonah Jackson. I think our last episode, Joe Thuney got traded right after we dropped it. Joe
The next
Thuney,
day.
yeah, next day, and then the D end, his name is escaping me, Osa something. I don't want to sound racist, but yeah, some moves are being made. Um, Poles has shown that he's doing all the things that he has to do to keep his job. Um, Free agency kind of panned out how I thought it was. A couple weeks ago, I said I didn't think Trey Smith and Ronnie Staley would touch free agency, and they didn't. Um, but I think Foles made the best of it, getting Thuney and Jonah Jackson, which I really like. Dahlman, he had a good year last year. He's a solid center. We'll see. But he was the best lineman out there, and Foles went and got him. So that's really all we could ask for. Really, there was really nobody better to go get, anybody even comparable.
Well, yeah, when you take a look at what the guards were pulling in free agency, the secondary tier after Trey Smith anyway would have been, like Aaron Banks and stuff like that, who Green Bay ended up signing, and they
Yeah.
they signed him to like 21 mil a season. Will Freeze ended up signing in Minnesota. He got over 20 mil a year. And those guys weren't kind of on the same level as Trey Smith. So to get Joe Thuney at 17 mil and Jonah Jackson at 17 mil. In retrospect, those deals don't seem all that bad. And Joe Thuney, of course, Pro Bowl, All Pro guard. Jonah Jackson's got some familiarity with Ben Johnson's system. Drew Dalman graded out as a top five center in the league last year. Like you said, he was the number one offensive lineman on the market. Bears went and got him. He actually took less money to come to
Yes, I
Chicago
wrote that down. Yeah.
and play for Ben Johnson and the Bears. He went out within 2 hours of Grady getting cut from Atlanta. He signed with the Bears. So he did Ryan Poles so far this offseason. It's a great offseason. So far, he has done everything that us Bears fans have been clamoring for the last several years, and that's building the trenches. So guard, center, guard, all taken care of. Completely revamped offensive line. Signed an edge, signed a defensive tackle. Now we're kind of going into the second and third tier waves of free agency. Probably not going to be a whole bunch of big moves, but now it opens up a plethora of options for the draft.
Yes.
We were going back and forth a little bit a little earlier today via text message. We were talking about if they stay at 10, they're probably taking best player available. They have flexibility to trade up to go get a Mason Graham. They can trade down. If they're not comfortable with any value or anything there, I think they go. I still think they go offensive line. I realistically think they probably go tackle. That Membao dude from Mizzou, a really athletic tackle. Ben Johnson loves his athletic tackles. Plus, Ben Johnson, has been saying that you need nine or 10 guys on offensive line that could step in and play. Granted, you got your starters, but you also need your backup guys. Dan Skipper is a possibility in free agency in the second tier. Um, they still need a wide receiver three, so fourth, fifth round wide receiver, Pat Bryant from Illinois. Um, you're looking at probably running back round two, edge round
Definitely.
two, to kind of round it out. But I think they take BPA at number 10 if they stay there. Maybe they draft down or trade down and they still take BPA because there's going to be a good amount of offensive linemen taken between I want to say the middle of the first round. So you can still probably trade back to 50, anywhere from 15 to 20 and still pick up, a potential starter as your left tackle. Um, and then, kind of just work your way from there. But all in all, so far, great start to free agency and great start to the offseason for Ben Johnson and the Bears. I think this is a win. I know we really didn't, like the Osa signing or whatever his name is from Indy. I'm taking a look at it. He's 25 years old. He's 6'6", 286, kind of a bigger defensive end. Only had 3 sacks last year, but the year before that he did have 8. Maybe he's just he fits Dennis Allen's scheme. He does like the bigger defensive ends. We kind of talked about that. Maybe Gravon Dexter goes over, what I'm saying they kind of rotate. Maybe that side of the line can kind of rotate with Andrew Billings, Gravon Dexter, uh, Grady, Jarrett, and this also, kid. They're all interchangeable. You could probably throw that indie edge rusher in as a speed 3 technique, for pass rush, and have Gravon Dexter slide over to the 1 on third down situations, and
Yeah.
you have a pass rush specialist on third down. There's a number of different things you can do.
Try
Dennis
being
Allen's
optimistic. He's young. You said he's young. He's got the measurables. He's not terrible. I would have liked more of a splash because there was guys out there to get. Joey Bosa just got what, 12 million. So we'll see. I'm trying to trust polls. We've been skeptical in the past, but at least this year he's doing all the things he has to do. Like you
Yeah,
said, he had to get a
100%.
pass rusher, he had to get attack, he had to beef up the whole line, and he did. And I think he got the best he could have got, really. So I can't, like I said, there was nobody better than Thuney in free agency who was going to make considerably less than what he's making. Like you said, they all got overpaid, and none of those guys are on his level. Jonah Jackson, I kind of griped on it. I did a little more research, a little bit better. He's an older guy. We traded a pick, but he's got Ben Johnson familiarity. He's got Pro Bowl. He was good in the past. I guess a lot of those other guys just sucked. Um, and then he went out and got Dalman day one. Whatever they were talking, Dalman was buying it because, like you said, he took less money. Um, so, like I text you, we're just sitting around seeing what they're going to do with Keenan Allen. If he moves on, we probably have to go bargain bin shopping. At this point, we kind of need him to stay. I don't really know who we'd be
Well,
able to get.
realistically, so he's still going to want a good amount of money. I know there was talk about bringing in Tim Patrick from Detroit. You're going to get Ben Johnson's guys in here from, familiarity with his scheme and whatever the case may be, the people that know his verbiage and everything else like that. Tim Patrick wasn't horrible as a wide receiver 3 in Detroit. Um, so I mean, you're gonna have some, kind of those kinds of guys going in there. So I want to see what Tyler Scott does. But here's the thing too: you kind of need size a little bit because you can't have a Tyler Scott and DJ Moore. I know Rome's got some size, but Ben Johnson's big on the no block, no rock kind of thing. So you need guys that can run block. Ben Johnson wants to run the ball. He wants to run the football, which is why I think you see running back day 2, second round of the draft. I don't think you reach for a running back unless what happens is you trade down to the 20s and you pick up maybe a second round, an additional second round pick.
If we fall back and Genty's at 20 and we take him, I probably wouldn't.
I
Be
don't
that
think it'll
upset.
be Genty. I think it'll be Omarion Hampton from North
I don't know. I don't
Carolina.
want Mario Hampton. I guess I don't know much about him. I don't follow college football like I used to. I'm more of a Big Ten guy, so I will just say I don't know much about him. So I don't know. I'm much higher. As much as I hate Ohio State, I've seen these guys play a lot. I'm much higher on Judkins and Henderson. I think they're way more better value. Where they're both going to be sitting there in the second round early if you really want to get one of them. And I think honestly, I think both of them are closer to a Jahmyr Gibbs than Genty is. I don't know much about
Where
Hampton.
where do you see Tyler Warren being drafted?
I mean, I didn't hear much about him until this year. I looked up his stats. He had more yards this year than he had the previous 3 combined. Um, Again, I'm a Michigan guy. I personally think Colson Loveland's a lot better than him. I think if Colson Loveland was on an offense where they were going to throw him 120 times, he would have better stats. But he looks the part. Bart Powers is pretty good. Him only having one productive season kind of scares me because he played under the same quarterback the whole time. He was out there playing the whole time. I don't know what the big shift was. Maybe the receivers are so bad he kind of got forced into it. I don't want a tight end. Not to say that I think he's bad. I just don't. I think he would probably be a slightly better version of Cole Kmet. He's still like a big body, decent blocker. Um, he's not like Brock Bowers, who's like just a big ass wide receiver. Um, if they were going to get somebody like that, I wouldn't be opposed to a tight end. But I don't want another big body, not very fast guy because I don't. It doesn't translate well into the NFL when you're slow. You see it with Cole Kmet. He was a fucking stud in college. Other Notre Dame guys who were big Gronk-esque. You know what I mean? They're obviously not Gronk, but big guys who were blockers. Michael Mayer, like I think he was really good in college. I thought he was going to be a stud in the NFL, and he's just not as fast. He's not like a lot of that stuff that they set up for your college isn't going to work. So I don't think Warren's going to transition as like I don't think he's going to be Bowers. So I don't want him like, say, if it's late first, we fall back. But at 10, I want the best player available, and I don't think that's going to be Warren. I think it'll probably end up being like Will Campbell. Like I said to you, I don't think we need a corner, but I think Will Johnson's going to be there at 10. And I really, really think that Poles and the team, if they're stuck there and they can't fall back, should take a peek at him because I think he has all. I think honestly, that has nothing like I am a Michigan homer, but I think he's just going to be the next Patrick Surtain. Like he's really good. He's tall. He's fast. He's a lockdown corner, and then you kind of don't have to. I guess you don't have to resign Kyler Gordon if you don't want to. You can try and move off of
Well, you
Tyreek
still need a
Stevenson.
corner too.
Yeah.
You still need a corner too opposite Jalen Johnson.
Yes. If you're
You
not
know,
trusting
because
Tyreek Stevenson, if you don't like Tyreek
yeah, we
Stevenson.
don't know about Tyreek. We don't know about Terrell Smith. We know Kyler Gordon is an extraordinary nickel,
Yes,
slot
I like him
corner,
a lot. I don't want to lose him.
but he's not an outside corner.
No.
He's not going to match up with, lockdown man coverage. I wouldn't be opposed to, drafting another corner. It's not necessarily a need,
No.
but
I
if
think at
you're
that
taking
spot,
best player, if
yeah.
you're taking best player available, and that is who you have, ranked at the top of your board on whoever's left, if he's there, you really
I
don't.
just think he's like a top, probably talent in this draft, top five, maybe the fifth best guy.
You
But
just don't have all the holes that you had the last couple of
yes,
years. You have
and you don't have the
some.
pressure to get an offensive lineman. Before what he did in the offseason, he basically had to pick an offensive lineman, whoever it was, he had to. But now we have a starting five, and I've been harping on this the whole time. I don't think Braxton Jones is a premier left tackle who's irreplaceable, but I don't think Banks or Will Campbell or any of them are ready to step in and be better than him right now, or maybe even next year, because he's got three. This will be what year three for him. He's played a lot of games. He's above average, and he's only going to get better with guys with better interior alignment with him as well. Like we both know how if the guy next to you is a fucking trash can, it's not going to bode well for either of you. So I think he'll be fine. And I'm nothing against Will Campbell. I just don't think day one or even like I said next year he would be head and shoulders better than Braxton Jones. Therefore, like if you want, and I'm not like I said, I want to beef up the line, and like you said, we need 8 or 9 guys. I would hope that maybe Josh Simmons is there early in the second round. I would be fine with him. I think, or even like one of the other tackles who falls, or if you want to trade up and get him, I just think 10's not a good spot for him. I think Banks and Campbell just they're projects or guards, and we got 2 guards now, so we don't need them.
Yeah, there's that tackle out of Mizzou that's pretty good too, like I was talking
People like
about.
him. Yeah, people like he had a good combine.
And then of course, um, you know, draft coming up. We're still quite a ways away from the draft, about a month or so. I'm really excited. There's a lot of options they can do.
Yeah.
I do have to bring this up as part of free agency because we usually can't get through a pod without you mentioning his name. But Justin Fields, 2 years, 40 million with 30 guaranteed from the Jets. The Jets are going through a little bit of a youth movement. Um, I don't know what Pittsburgh's going to do. From what people are saying, it's either Aaron Rodgers or Russell
Well, they
Wilson.
trade. We kind of skipped over this. They traded for DK Metcalf.
Yeah, they traded for DK.
That told me that they weren't going with Fields. Again, I am one of his biggest supporters, but he's not a go get 2 number 1 wide receivers type of guy. He's not gonna throw the ball enough to feed 2 hungry number 1 receivers mouths. So that was never gonna happen. It's gonna have to be Russ. It's gonna have to be Aaron Rodgers for the Steelers. And like you said, I didn't want to start off with I'm trying to fade away from Justin Fields, but I'm still rooting for him. I think Jets is a perfect example. This will be the end of the discussion. The Steelers, he kind of got put in the middle ground where he was the backup starter. In my experience, in my head, I'm guessing promises were made from Tomlin to Russ about starting, and they kind of gave him the role back just because Justin didn't want anybody. But now he's going to the Jets. They got no discernible backup. it'll be his job the whole way. He's got some familiarity with Garrett Wilson, quality defense. So, like I said, there'll be no more excuses this time. So I would hope he proves me right and he shows that he is a quality quarterback in the league. And I think
That zone read option with Brees Hall is going to hit different.
yes. Yeah, and again, I never was saying that I thought Justin Fields was going to be Mahomes. I just thought that you can win with him. I think he can be Jalen Hurts, and we just saw Jalen Hurts win a Super Bowl, but they didn't win it because he was just fucking making, you know what I mean, dot throws. They scheme up great stuff. Their run game's amazing, and he makes easy throws to really good players that they surrounded him with. And that's what I thought the path of the Bears should go. They wanted to do something else, and we'll see how it pans out. But they're loading up to surround Caleb now. I think they need to. I think at this point they have to keep Keenan Allen. I honestly, when the offseason started, I wasn't a huge proponent of it. But just looking at the draft with the talent of the wide receivers, what's left of free agency, clearly the Bears organization doesn't have any faith in Tyler Scott. Maybe Ben Johnson does. Who knows? I think he showed flashes when his rookie season that he could get open. Again, there were some bad throws. We just weren't a passing team. Some bad drops, but sometimes you can write some of that stuff off as being a rookie. But I don't. Now that we got the O line, I don't want to, not have the weapons now either. And DJ Moore and Keenan are good, but odds are one of them gets hurt for a couple games.
Well, there was another thing that happened this past week that, at some point might have future implications for the Bears, and that's Myles Garrett signing the 4-year, 100 and whatever million, pretty much getting them $40 million a year, highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history, resetting the edge market. We talked about Trey Hendrickson. That's probably not going to happen. But like I said, possible future implications. Now, Dallas kind of fucked themselves over because they continue to refuse to pay players before the market sets themselves. They always
the
are
Bengals
playing,
as well. Bengals did it too.
Yeah, paying. Well, so from what I understand, the Bengals owner is the only owner in the NFL that is not technically a billionaire.
Yeah, I saw that too, where they're cash strapped, like they have to take out loans to pay the players.
But Jerry Jones is not.
No.
So again, he's behind the 8 ball. Micah Parsons is going to want more than what Myles Garrett got. Yep. So Dallas kind of fucked himself a little bit. It started with Max Crosby getting 33, then Myles Garrett jumped to 40. I can only imagine what Cincinnati's going to do with Jamar Chase, because
he's going to get 41. They said that they were going to give him the highest non-quarterback. He's going to get 41.
And then Micah's probably going to want to
something like that, 40, 41.
You know what I'm saying? So we talked about it and things like that. Of course, I didn't look at what the cap number might be for next year in terms of what the projected cap space is, because we don't know, of course, with the cap raising every year and everything else like that. Does Dallas, with paying Dak $60 million, paying CD $30 million, where does Dallas find the money to pay Micah Parsons? And if so, is it a potential trade partner? I understand we just signed, like I said, that kid from Indy, but he is kind of a bigger DN. Maybe you can slide him into,
and it's not. It's not official till tomorrow anyway. But
yeah, but you can always slide him into tackle. You know what I'm saying? And
or you just need a few. They go in a rotation. Micah Parsons moves around and rushes from the middle sometimes.
Exactly.
I would love that. I was kind of heartbroken. The Myles Garrett thing was weird because he was talking about how much he didn't want to be there, but I guess it's hard to turn down $40 million. But I just feel like wherever you were going, that's what he was going to get, maybe slightly less. So that was weird. A lot of reports are saying that Kirk Cousins is going to end up there too. Maybe they told him that, hey, we're not going to be god awful. We might have a playoff chance. But this has been last 2 off seasons have been quite interesting. I was just talking to somebody about this. I feel like there's been more trades, especially of good players. There used to be bullshit trades for nobodies and late round picks when we were younger, but it's been more player trades and quality players being traded in the last 2 years than our whole life. DK Metcalf, that was never a thing. Somebody like DK Metcalf getting traded, just very interesting. The compensation was that much, only a second. I guess he hasn't been that productive. But I don't know how I feel. I would kind of want still maybe get Trey Hendrickson because I just don't think you can have enough pass rushers and D line. Those guys get hurt. You rotate them. Probably best to rotate them anyway. But we're definitely going to be
And
making another move here soon.
it's not off the table.
Yeah,
It's not off the table. It's not something, you know what I'm saying? It's not something that just because they got this guy, so Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson are meeting the media tomorrow. It's going to be carried on ESPN 1000. It's going to be at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I'm sure there's going to be questions, about a potential, Trey Hendrickson trade, Michael Parsons trade, what the plans are. So we'll get a little bit more information tomorrow as well, tomorrow afternoon. We'll see what they have to say. It does seem like Ben Johnson's kind of putting his fingerprints on everything, which is
yeah,
always
and
good.
I think that's what's
He's got a
fanning the.
voice.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's got a voice. He's got a backbone. He's very good with the media. This is the polar opposite, complete opposite of what we've seen the last several years with Matt Eberflus, as well as Matt Nagy. Just guys that are kind of deer in the headlights whenever there's a microphone in front of their face. And Ben Johnson's not like that. He seems like he's got a plan for everything, and he's going to be extremely well prepared for this upcoming season. So it's time to nut up or shut up. Like
yeah,
they have to win, and it's not just for Ryan Poles. We as Bears fans, this has to work out because um McCaskey, George, Curious George, shop top shelf for the first time ever, with this high priced, head coach. If this doesn't work, he will never do it again.
be back to
He
business
will
as usual.
never do it again. So this has
And
to work
everybody,
out.
yeah, because yeah, everybody. I mean, if this doesn't work, and if it doesn't look like, I don't know if we have to make the playoffs. I mean, for me, I'm saying that's what my expectations are. But I think we have to win 9 or 10 games, or I mean, heads are going to roll.
Yeah, this has to work.
I mean, I have that feel. I guess I'm always optimistic. But like you were to build on what you were saying, like this got Ben Johnson's fingerprints. A lot of everything that's happening is feels that way. I think that's what's fanning a lot of the Genty smoke at 10. That's what kind of what they did in Detroit. But I don't know if that was him or the GM or who. But either way, um, whatever they decide to do, obviously we're going to be on board and cheer for them. I hope it's not a running back at 10 because, like I said, I think there's just too much value to do it at 10. Um, and somebody would have to want to trade up. But we'll see. We need some quarterbacks to get reached on. I don't imagine Shador or Cam Ward make it out of the top 10 just because there's too many QB needy teams. And if somehow like Jackson Dart or somebody moves up and somebody has to trade up for one of them, that would benefit us greatly. We can, I'm hoping Mason. My ideal scenario is Mason Graham falls us at 10. I don't see that just how they're saying it's going to unfold. So I'll be happy with Will Johnson. Even outside of that, at 10, there's just like nobody I think is worth it. Maybe Will Campbell, but it's just looking like how our team's set up right now. He'd be a backup. I don't want to draft a backup at 10. We like that was kind of my problem with Roman Dunze last year. We're like, yeah, the skill's there, but you drafted this guy who's only on the field 20% of the time with the ninth overall pick, and we were trying to win. So I don't want it to end up being some luxury pick of some guy who's not even going to play. I want them to go out. So if it has to be Genty and we're going to put him on the field and get our value for that 10th pick, I'll live with it. But I don't see it, and I don't think he's that special. I mean, he won the Heisman, or he almost won the Heisman. Obviously, the kick and play. I'm not talking trash now. I just think if you throw Judkins or Henderson or Hampton or a lot of those guys on Boise and you give them the ball 40 times a game, they'll probably produce a similar amount of what he did.
Well, it's a very, very, very deep running back
Yes.
draft. Very deep. Cream of the crop in terms of, defensive line, defensive back, offensive line aren't there. So even if, see, I'm opposite of you, right? You can never have enough good offensive linemen and good defensive linemen. You just can't. So even if, say, they draft an offensive lineman number 10 and he sits for a year because we don't know what's going to happen with Braxton Jones after this year. Joe Thuney's, he's getting older. He's getting up there in age. Jonah Jackson's got an injury history. So if I have a guy that I picked 10th overall that could slide in and play guard, if one of those guys gets hurt, I'd much
I mean,
rather
yes.
have that than fucking Matt Slater fill in. I'm
I mean,
just
I feel you. I understand that, and I do think I agree with the sentiment that can't have enough O linemen. I don't know if a backup swing tackle or guard with the 10th pick is
well,
like
he's going to be a
it.
starter in a couple years anyway
Yeah,
because
but
Jared
that's what I'm saying. Like,
Goff's
I think the guy we're picking should be a starter right away, like or somebody who's
I get
contributing
that,
right
but
away.
if you're picking a guy at that high and he's able to sit behind a Joe Thuney and learn everything you can about being an offensive lineman, especially being that high of a pick, I find that to be it's the same conversation with drafting a quarterback in the first round for an aging quarterback. Why are we so high on that, but we're so low on drafting an offensive lineman who, by all intents and purposes, is maybe not as important, but it's extremely important to have good offensive linemen to protect a quarterback. So why are we so high on the drafting quarterback and letting him sit, but not drafting an offensive lineman, a premium position in today's NFL now, and letting him sit for a year to learn?
I
Well,
don't
what's the
think
difference?
I don't think that's a bad. The difference to me is just where the Bears are and what we need to accomplish. Like we are just saying, like people are going to get fired if we don't do good this year. So I'm just saying, like, or I don't know about fire, but somebody's going to pay the price if the Bears suck this year. So I just think for everybody, probably best get somebody who's going to help you win this year. I don't necessarily agree with the process of drafting anybody, letting them sit and them be if they're good and you think that they are. I just I don't know if this year that would be the like if you take like I said Campbell, he sits on the bench, nobody gets hurt, and Swift has another down year, and fucking Genty gets picked 12 and rushes for 1,500 yards and 15 touchdowns. We're gonna be like fuck. Like that could have been our 1,500. That's all I'm saying. Like, yeah, but there's always going to be buyer's remorse, regardless of what happens. I just think whoever we get, I'm all in on this year. Like we thought, kind of last year was going to kind of be like that, and we threw it away as a Caleb rebuild year and rebuild the staff. I don't know if they're going to get the same grace this year if they pick Will Campbell and we said even Tyler Warren or anybody after him goes off and contributes in a real way while he sits, they're going to second guess it because Poles, although he's made some good moves, I would say we're probably 50-50 now with hindsight where there's not quality decisions that he made. And we took Darnell Wright instead of Jalen Carter. I don't know, but I think that's starting to come back and haunt us as a team. That got Jalen Carter's an All-Pro. I mean, if you're of the mind that he wouldn't have been as good on the Bears, then I guess. But I don't want a situation like that to occur where we take Will Campbell and pass on that, you know what I mean, a pass rusher and they ball out. Similar, like I said, what happened with Roma Dunze. I wanted Verse the whole time, and Verse goes out and has a good year. He has a great playoff. You know, he's playing great in the playoffs. And Roma Dunze showed flashes, but like I said, he's on the field, 30% of the time? As opposed to some guy who's out there 80% of the defensive snaps and making a real contribution. So I think that's kind of where we're in the same lane where, yeah, it'd be nice to get a luxury Will Campbell to put on the bench and stuff away for a year or two while we do stuff. But I just think we need some help still. Um, if we didn't pick a guard, if we didn't trade for two guards, I think Will Campbell would have been the pick regardless. But just still now, there's no way that he's going to start over Jonah Jackson or um, Thuney. Obviously not Thuney, and I don't think he could beat out Braxton Jones. Maybe that's the homer in me. But we'll see. And like I said, I don't really like Kelvin Banks either. That kid from Missouri looks. I just think he had a good combine. I don't know. I know he's not ready to step in and be better than Braxton Jones right now. So maybe if we fall back and get one of those guys, I can live with it. But 10, like we were talking about Tex, 10 is just a weird spot in this draft where
Well,
I
it's
don't think
also
it,
a bad draft by,
yeah.
A lot of experts. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah,
not
like last year was Roma Dunze, Jared Verse. There's a lot of guys at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 who were really good. You couldn't really make a bad pick, and we didn't.
Brock
Like, yeah,
Bowers.
Brock Bowers. Like this year, I don't think it's the same. If a quarterback gets reached on and Mason Graham or like Will Johnson's there, then maybe. But after that, I think anybody you take at 10 isn't going to be the normal quality of the 10th overall pick there usually is in a draft. But all right, few moves the Bears made. Just a few personal days of the tampering. Next week we will come on back and probably close out what the Bears finish up with the free agency. You were telling me earlier, we got 35 million left. Um, I'm guessing some of that will be used to re-sign Keenan Allen. Probably add
Well,
another.
I just looked. So I was on Sport Track a little bit ago. So that 35 million, I don't think they've accounted bonuses or like any of the free agent signings or anything else like that yet. There's some of it has went to that, but like the roster bonuses and stuff. So it's not going to be 35 million come tomorrow at 12 o'clock when the new league year officially starts. I think it's going to be somewhere around the 18, 19 million cap range left after that.
All right, guys, if you're tuning in this long, like, follow, subscribe, keep it up. We've had some decent views the last few ones. I know we usually pick up in the offseason. That's when the Bears fan really come out. But again, like I said, like, follow, please keep commenting, doing all that good stuff. Hopefully we'll get to 10K subs by the beginning of next year. I'm hoping for that, and I'll see you next week, buddy.
I'll see you next week.